All right, well, I think we're good. Brother David, Sister Naira, you all want to get started?
There we go. Okay, great. Well, welcome, everyone. This is Sister Naira and
Brother David. Assalamu alaikum, family.
we are,
Walaikum salam.
yes, praise be to Allah. We are so excited tonight, y'all, especially for those that's in the academy. Now, we started a little early tonight, Brother Keely. Well, guess what? We in for a treat, y'all.
Yes,
Okay.
Praise be to Allah.
The Repair of the Black Family is doing a collaboration with the Ultimate Wellness Group. Now, listen.
Come on now.
Right? Brother Dr. Akili Muhammad.
Yes.
Brother Dr. Akili, we're going to be talking about a clear body and a clear mind.
Praise
I
be to Allah.
mean, think about these two supreme technologies to bring in a new civilization, right?
Yes,
We're talking about the time and what must be done as it relates to the healing of our people. And we are so excited to have you because I consider you like the mastermind of how to eat to live when it comes to representing the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad in this particular aspect of our body of work. So we are honored to have you here. We're honored to do this collaboration. And we pray that Allah is pleased with us, especially during this holy month of Ramadan.
Yes.
I am not here representing myself. I'm actually representing the team, right? So I have my husband, Brother David, here. Praise be to Allah. Yay, snap, snap, snap. That's how we do it in the academy. We do it like snap, snap, snap thing, right? And then we also have our supervisor who actually helps with the training aspect, and that is Brother Lawrence Muhammad, and I think he is on the line. So definitely, Brother Dr. Akili, we want you to come in and share who you are, what do you do, tell us about the Ultimate Wellness Group, and then we will just go ahead and just let the spirit lead, as they say in the church, right?
Yes, ma'am.
As it relates to this beautiful topic, as it relates to Dianetics and how to eat to live. So Dr. Akili, tell us about you, your sojourn in this nation, and the Ultimate Wellness Group.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you, first of all, for the collaboration. I think it's a beautiful collaboration. I think it's something that definitely we need to talk about, right? So let me start correctly. In the name of Allah, the beneficent and merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. I like to greet all the beautiful guests with the words of peace of Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak.
Wa alaikum salam. Ramadan Kareem.
Day number 15 almost down. Still feeling good, right? We all doing well. Praise be to Allah.
Yes, sir, by Allah's permission.
Yeah, so I think a lot of these faces on here know me already, but I'm gonna tell my quick story for those who don't know. And I just want to quickly shout out Brother Lawrence. The brother does an excellent job of teaching on these teachings, and I'm gonna have to have you on the show, you and Sister Naira, my brother, and Brother David. We're gonna have to do a collaboration show just on the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard and our marriage to that. I don't know if some of you saw, but somebody was making comments on the ad to me about the fact that I put that on my Facebook page. And
wow.
It's never, to me, I never look at it as an attack on me, but it's always an opportunity to educate.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a little boy sitting next to my mother watching a National Geographic show of a heart surgery. And I told my mother that that's what I wanted to do. And I don't remember that. So I say that Allah inspired me to become a physician. And, without getting into a long drawn out thing, I was practicing. I went through all the trials and tribulations of becoming a physician and was practicing and was totally frustrated with it because I wasn't being fulfilled in the practice of medicine after all those years, all of that struggle, trial. I wanted to change careers and go into real estate because my friends were making money and I wasn't enjoying medicine. And that day, after a frustrating day in the office, it almost seemed like How to Eat to Live was like this big. You see it back there. but it looked like it was about 8 times bigger than that picture that you see back there. It looked like it was calling me. I sat down and I read it. I only read about 30 to 35 pages that first day. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that you could cure 90% of your ills with just fasting. You could solve diabetes without taking medication, and that chronic medical problems could be solved in months or years. I was like, hey, no way, this man, as much as I revere him, because my father spoke of him highly all the time I was coming up. But I said in my mind, I said, man, ain't no way this man that didn't even finish the 4th grade could tell me something about how to practice medicine. Arrogance like hell, right?
Right.
And then I went to my practice the next day to prove him wrong. And over the next months and the next few years, I was proven wrong. And so since then, How to Eat to Live has been the foundation of what I use to help people who trust me with their healing or their health journey. And so that's my thing in a nutshell. As far as medicine is concerned, I have seen How to Eat to Live solve problems that the medical community says are incurable. And that is the power of Dr. Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Okay.
Come on.
And I will also say that when it comes to mental health, I know there has been nobody that has affected my mental health and the improvement of my mental health more than Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Praise
With
God.
the study guides, and then adding what I have learned, what I have experienced in the Church of Scientology with the technology that has come from L. Ron Hubbard, there is nothing that is more reviled in this country, nothing that is more spoken evil of than the Nation of Islam and the Church of Scientology. And so, as my father told me when I was a little boy, when it comes to America, their enemies are your friends and their friends are your enemies. And so anybody that this country looks at negatively and the media castigates, I usually look at them as my friends. So that's my story in a nutshell. And let's let Allah use us, my brother and my sister.
All right, all praises due to Allah. So I know I kind of jumped right in, and I definitely want my husband and Brother Lawrence to, open up and say some words, and let's get this program rolling. Let's heal some people. Like, that's the mission tonight, right?
Yes.
So go ahead, babe. I'm turning it over to you, and we definitely trying to get it shared into our group.
Yes, so I'm just excited, Brother Dr. Akili. Of course, it's kind of like we've been waiting on this day, to be quite honest, because we know.
Your sound is low.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like you're far away.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, much better.
Let me scoot a little closer.
Yes, sir.
So, we just know what you have to share is certainly valuable. And so, I'm really just ready to get right into it. I really don't want to belabor the point. So yeah, let's get into it, man, because the people need to hear this message, and I'm just ready with the questions.
All right. Praise be to Allah. So we have Brother Lawrence, we consider our course room supervisor in the academy. Brother Lawrence, you got to come off mute, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum, family. Ramadan Mubarak.
Alaikum salam, Ramadan Mubarak.
I, like my brother David, is ready to get into it because, yes, I'm a science buff anyway. And this is my type of subject. I love this type of talk. And just hope that we all would really pay attention and take from it what our brother Dr. Akili is going to present to us. I've heard him several times teach on how to eat to live, and he is a master when it comes to this teaching. And so I hope that we would all take notes. And I'm not trying to embarrass you, Brother Akili, but you are, brother.
Praise be to Allah. I pray that I'm serving the master. One day maybe I'll grow into that word. But thank you, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, I'm going to be taking notes, and I always love it because it's good to hear how to eat to live from a different perspective from someone else, because sometimes we think we know, but when you hear it from someone else, it's like, oh, it's little nuggets that you catch. And on top of that, to have an actual doctor to go into the science of how to eat to live, that I've heard the science of how to eat to live one time before, and it literally changed my entire outlook on how to eat to live. Because just like Dr. Akili was saying in the beginning, it's like, this man went to 4th grade. What are you gonna teach me about this and that? So we heard him say, eat this, eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that. But when you get the science behind it, you're like, oh my God, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he is the master of how to eat to live.
That's right.
So I'm ready to get into it. So thank you, Dr. Akili, for being with us tonight and for what you are going to bring to us. I thank you, beloved. Assalamu.
Thank you, Brother Walaikum Salam.
Praise be to Allah. So, Brother Dr. Akili, we're bringing in two sciences together.
Yes.
To help us to achieve, the new mind, the new person, right?
Yes.
And so we know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has introduced us to a technology that will aid in the assistance to clear the mind. And I want to hear from you, your personal journey as it relates to getting this particular technology called Dianetics.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say is that my personal journey with my own mental health started with my practice of how to eat to live.
Mm-hmm.
When I started to try to eat one meal a day versus, of course, I was raised eating 3 meals a day, like most of us probably were. But then when I started practicing medicine, the time frame that I came into the practice of medicine, the common theme was 5 meals a day. 5 small meals a day was supposedly the healthy thing to suggest to your patients. And so I've always been the type of person that if I believe something, I'm gonna practice it. I'm not just gonna speak it without putting myself behind it. And so I was doing 5 meals a day when I actually started reading How to Eat to Live. And when I went from that 5 meals a day, I mean, I was just like, gung ho. I went from 5 meals a day to just 1 meal against his advice. And the reality that I learned was immediately that, man, I'm addicted to food. That was one thing. And then the second thing was, damn, food means so much. And I take so much time out of my day for food. And then the third thing that registered to me was that when I was fasting, when I was going longer periods in between meals, I was doing more self-introspection rather than, being tired and, falling out and taking naps. And just, it seemed to me like when I wasn't eating, when I didn't have food in my stomach being digested, when I didn't have that heaviness on me, I was more aware of myself and better equipped to be able to look at myself and change some things within myself. And then when I was blessed to be able to go to California to the CC to do the Dianetics training in book 1 to become an auditor, I knew that Allah was in the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard because of reading that book and the way it had me, to give it in just a medical term, is I was vomiting. I had a severe catharsis while I was reading that book. As I was reading it, I was tapping into things that happened in my life as a small child, and then just other times in my life that I hadn't thought about for years. I hadn't even considered. But as I was reading this book, it seemed like it was like taking things out of me and growing me and improving my ability to concentrate and my ability to just be willing to self-improve. I would say that I don't think there's anything better than what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, teach us. Look at what it did for the minister. When I was in California, the people there told us when the minister came to visit one time that they didn't have the ability to measure the minister on their scales. And so that's what, to me, the teachings that Honorable Elijah Muhammad can do for us, is take us to places that we don't even have the ability to conceive at this point. Well, I mean, I speak for you all. I say I can't conceive, but I do believe, as the minister has told us, that the technology that we've gotten from L. Ron Hubbard and Church of Scientology can definitely improve our ability to apply ourselves to the self-improvement that we have in our teaching. Did I answer the question?
You answered the question.
Glory be
Okay.
to Allah.
And if anybody else have anything to say, please let us know. So Dr. Keeley, I definitely would like for you to answer this question for me. We're living in a time now, especially during this COVID, and we understand the mental health of our people is drastically growing, you know, when it relates to the stress factors and the
Yes.
environment and how all of that plays on the mind, which ultimately affects the body. We know this from How to Eat to Live, and we know this through the technology. Can you help us to understand from a How to Eat to Live perspective, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically? Could you go more into How to Eat to Live and how that relates to the mental aspect, and what can we do during this time?
Yeah, so I'm going to get the page in a minute. I'm going to answer the question and I'm going to get the page for everybody. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talks about the fact that the mind and the GI system are tied. I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting him. And he said, when you treat one well, you treat the other well, and vice versa. And we have to understand that, you know, you hear a lot of information in this world. And I think that what we have to do is take How to Eat to Live and then use that as the window that we look at all this information. And then your personal experience with the book, if you're applying it, will tell you what is right, what is wrong, and what just is out of bounds, right? And so when we're talking about a pandemic that's a year and 2 months now, we could say a year, 3 or 4 months in the world, but here in America, right, a year and 2 months, something that none of us have ever experienced. You'd have to be old enough to have lived in the Depression and the beginning of the Depression in order to have been in this world when there was a pandemic that reached America. And so we're literally dealing with a reality that is something that I would say all of us on this call have never experienced.
Exactly.
Right? And so we're talking about treading new water. And the only thing that I can do to look into that reality is to go to scriptures, or to read what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, or to listen to what the minister says when he talks about the future. Because I don't know anybody else that could give us a true, realistic viewpoint of the future. And what do I mean by that? I mean that if all of us, when we finish this program or while I am speaking, if you have your How to Eat to Live book 1, go to page 58. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, I and most of my followers, not some, not a few. He said, I and most of my followers are in the hereafter now because of what we don't, again, I'm paraphrasing, but he said we don't have a need, or we don't worry about the necessities of life, food, clothing, shelter. So those things are taken care of. And I would say, I can't speak for Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but I think he's speaking about unity. And then later on in that on that page, he says, and we have no desire for this world and the negative and the debauchery and the taking advantage of your brother. So we don't want a part of that. And so when I think about that, which the Honorable Elijah Muhammad posed to me, that's the first realistic viewpoint that I had of heaven or the hereafter, right? Because as I told the story earlier about my transition, I was still believing in a God that wasn't real. Because I remember at that time in my life being on a plane, looking out the window, and everywhere you could see on my side of the plane and the other side of the plane was just clouds. So we're talking miles and miles and miles, as far as you could see. And I remember saying to myself, man, all of that is God. Look at the other side, right? So that is looking at God as unrealistic. And so How to Eat to Live and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad explaining that to me started to deteriorate my desire on believing in a spook God. Because when I came to that great epiphany that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to meet with somebody superior than the average person in order to be able to take everything that I learned in medical school and either make it relevant or make it irrelevant just in 119 pages. And
Wow.
so what am I saying in a nutshell? I'm saying that our people are stuck in a place that isn't real, that has you and us before we came to these teachings, inshallah, in a place of spookism, and everything is unreal. If the God that you believe in is unreal, then that means all the rest of this is unreal. How can we in 2021, brothers and sisters, and just come here with me for just a second.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
How can we in 2021 believe that some people can go into a laboratory, whether it's a man, a woman, or a group of people, and they're going to produce something, put it in a vial and shoot it in your arm, and that's going to give you more protection than what God put in your system to fight infections? See, that's setting up a God next to God.
Come on, teach.
Right?
Teach.
And unfortunately, that's the majority of our people. And that to me is the great responsibility of a show like this. It doesn't make a difference what people think when we have gone through the reality of applying these teachings and getting the results. Because you all are listening to a brother today that felt handcuffed with what I was taught after all those years studying those big fat books and learning all those big words. Got into how to eat to live, and now I'm watching people walk up out of these medical problems that were supposedly incurable. That you can never put me back into a box. That reality will never allow me to go back into thinking that there's something more great about what I learned in that school versus what Master Father Muhammad taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
My God.
And so in this in this time that we were living in, we have a perfect guide who told us that there was a place that we can go and get ourselves more efficient. So in that same lineage, Master Father Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Minister Louis Farrakhan, I personally am sure that that technology incorporated with our technology is going to get us to that godship faster than we would otherwise. And that's why the minister sent us there. And my last point will be this, brothers and sisters. If you are struggling mentally, physically, with a medical problem, whatever the case may be, let's put this in context, right? I'm not trying to tell you, and I'm speaking to, in this part, maybe to somebody that's not in the Nation of Islam.
Yes.
So I don't want to put my belief and my faith on you, but think in your boots and think in your shoes. Whoever the God is that you serve, I believe that's Master Father Muhammad. Master Father Muhammad taught the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that's why that book behind me says at the top, From God in Person, Master Father Muhammad. So just come with me for a minute and say that I, Dr. Akili, am leaning on information that came from God. What else can you get that's more superior than that? So if you can come with me and stand in these shoes and say, man, that book is from God, then why would I go to a doctor? Why would I take your pills? Why would I take the advice of these other people in these diets and these people on social media that are talking as if they know something, but where are your works? What does your tree look like? And when I say tree, I'm talking about the tree of your reality. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad has a tree that's superior to any person I know. And I would challenge everybody out there that's not a member of the Nation of Islam. If you don't know a lot about the Nation of Islam, just do a little research on the people that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has been a mentor to. And look at what they have done in this world. Look at the men and the women that we look up to and see how many of them in the last 30, 40, 50, 60 years have been touched by that man. And so I think I'll leave it there. But for me, that's the magnitude of how to eat to live in my life and why it means so much and why I talk about it so much, why I lean on it so much, and why when a brother like Lawrence will call me the master of it, that makes me uncomfortable because I'm learning every day. I appreciate the comment, but I pray that I become a master of the book, How to Eat to Live, at some point in my life. I pray I answered the question as well.
Yes, sir. We have people saying, can you let them in? Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Okay. Yes, sir. Wow, that was absolutely amazing. So, brother Dr. Keely, as you were speaking, what came to my mind is we learn in this technology of Dianetics, the band of fear. And right now, when you look at the masses of our people, in particular in our culture, there is a huge band of fear because of how this COVID is being presented, yes. How people are, well, I think I should get the shot just to be safe, right?
Yes.
The band of fear. How does that play from the mind to the body, and how does that? I think you kind of answered it in your last, but I just want to be more specific. This band of fear, our people are in fear. How does that relate to the mind? And what can that do when it comes to the emotional aspect, when it comes to eating? And how can we curtail that?
Wow, powerful question. Let me say first to everybody, when I was talking about the brain and the digestive tract, that's on page 57. So page 57 and 58 in book 1 is where you can get the information about what Donna Elijah says about the digestive tract in the brain and that statement that he made about being in heaven. So I think that question is so profound. Brother says, I pray that I can do this in a short period of time, because that question is amazing, right? So there are multiple aspects of how the body functions normally. We can function in a relaxed environment. We can function in a very active environment, and then there's fear, and then there's sleep, and all of those have different types of hormones, different type of substances that are working. And of course, just like in all life, right? If you go to work, there's the CEO of the company, and you might not ever meet them, but you have your manager or your boss that you deal with on a regular basis. It's the same in the human body. There are regulatory hormones that are at the top, and then you have other things that are under that, and then they do smaller activities. But my point is this: when you allow a television program, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, NBC, Fox, whatever you watch, to inundate you every day, fear, 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 death, 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 intubation, intubation, not enough beds in the hospital, having so many deaths, they got to put these bodies in these refrigerated trucks. That wears on your mind, that wears on your being, because it has to institute fear in you because of the nature of the information.
Right.
But the problem with that information is it's not real, because 97 to 98% of the people on the planet Earth that have gotten infected with coronavirus have healed with mild disease. So when we look at death, 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 and full hospitals and all these things that we're being inundated with, that's only 3% of the population. So we are allowing somebody to take us to a minimal reality and make it seem like it's the majority. So what is happening? It puts you in a state of fear. So now your body is working in the fight or flight system. The fight or flight system puts you in that breathing deep, getting ready. Your eyes are open, your vision gets, the body is ready for the muscles to do something to defend your life. Your body can't heal that way. Your body doesn't function at a great perspective mentally in that state of mind. So we bring a lot of the mental acuity away in fear, and we're mostly physical. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't realize that walking in a grocery store or walking in a convenience store is highly scientific. If we go out into a backyard of somebody who has food, you might see something orange. You might see something yellow. Ooh, look at those green bell peppers. Man, they got a plum tree. Those purple things look beautiful. Look at that grape plant over there with those purple and green grapes. Got some red peppers, right? You see all these different colors. But when you walk in a grocery store or you walk into that convenience store, the orange is now a Dorito bag. The yellow is a Lay's bag. The red is some type of soda. And so these people have scientifically studied, and they're presenting us with things that can't solve your problem. And so why do so many of us go to chips? Because we haven't studied enough to understand that the crunch, the saltiness, if you like creamy things like oatmeal cream pies or Oreos or things of that nature, that creamy sensation is handling subconsciously something that's going on in your being. You are anxious, you are angry, you are overwhelmed because of what you're watching on television every day, and you don't realize that it's scientific that you're sitting there munching on these salty chips, and that crunch is subconsciously helping you deal with something, but it's not real, because when you finish those chips, you didn't solve the problem. You didn't go in the direction of solving the problem. So now, man, I love chips. Well, how did you learn to love chips? Because subconsciously you have a emotional attachment to them, but you don't even know it. Now, let's remove that and put ourselves in the reality of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says on page 58. In that, I don't watch your news. I may go to a site to get some news, but I'm not going to turn on the television and let this blare at me all day long. I get some actual facts, if there are any there, but I go to keep myself up to date. But then I go and I read, or I find sources that are better to give me actual facts rather than sensationalism. And so my mind is more in control. I'm not going to eat until 4 or 6 or 4 to 6. And I want to clarify that, right? There are two things I want to clarify. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad never said, master one meal a day before you go to one meal every other day. He said, when you get used to eating one meal a day, try one meal every other day. And he also said in book 1, 4 to 6. And in book 2, he said, eat at 4 or 6. I can't tell you what he meant. I'm just saying that because there are too many people that try to use how to eat to live as a oppressive thing to us. Man, you're not eating between 4 and 6? No, I'm not. Because the Honorable Elijah Muhammad didn't say that that's the only reality. He said eat between 4 to 6. And in book 2, as I said, 4 or 6. And right in the next sentence, he said, if you can't do that, try to eat at the same time every day. Right?
That's right.
That's what we're doing in Ramadan. That's probably why some of us feel better. Because you're not eating at 4 o'clock one day, 9 o'clock the next day, 10 the next day, 11 the next day, 4 o'clock the next day, 7. So I just wanted to clarify that. But the point that I'm getting to is that if we are in control of our minds, we get up in the morning like we're doing now, make our prayer on time, study the Quran, the best book there is on the planet out of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Louis Farrakhan's mouth. So we're reading the best book. How does that formulate your day? How does that formulate the ease of your mind and the peace in your soul during your day when you started your day with Allah's word? How does it give you ease when you get up in the morning? You don't have to rush to make any food for yourself. And I'm not talking about a mother that has to make it for her children. That's a difficulty factor. I'm talking about those of us who don't have to do that aspect, right? When you can discipline yourself or give in. The more we discipline ourselves, the more we take our body up into more control, into more mental acuity. The longer we go in between meals, the more mental acuity we have. The longer we go in between meals, the more discipline you are implementing. The longer the time in between meals, the more your body is in the state of healing. So don't get yourself caught up into these idiots out here that tell you in order to get to a keto diet, you have to buy bone broth and you have to eat fatty meats. That's hogwash. That is the commercializing aspect that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us in How to Eat to Live, that these are commercializing people. They want to profit off of everything. If you follow How to Eat to Live and you have long periods in between your meals, like we're doing right here in Ramadan, you are producing ketones every day. So your body is in a ketosis state. You are in a ketotic place. And when you are in that place, you heal. The body is much more at peace. And the mind has been proven is on a much higher level of ability to transmit and receive. In the days and the times in my practicing of How to Eat to Live, when I have been the most dedicated, diligent, and disciplined, I can think of people and they'll call me. think of people and their walk through the door. I believe we can master that.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay.
Yes,
Now I'm gonna
sir.
need everybody in the chat. Everybody to snap. Everybody. Okay.
Praise
So
be to
listen,
Allah.
all praises due to life. Family, I don't think you all know, but we are live streaming. So I'm gonna ask that you go to the Ultimate Wellness Group, like the page, share the video, because we are interested in saving lives, right? So I'm going to ask at this time, everybody that's in the academy, I know we start at different time, but we don't want to miss a soul. So if you can go to the Ultimate Wellness Group, like the page, share the video, and let's get this message out far and wide. We are going to open up the floor for questions. I want to hear from my husband and Brother David, and then we have Brother Lawrence. Oh, Brother Lawrence, go ahead, Brother Lawrence. My husband said go to you first. So go ahead, Brother Lawrence. Please ask your question.
I just wanted to bear witness to what Dr. Akili just said. A few months back, I had to go into the hospital, and I hadn't eaten since the day before. And when they ran my blood work and did all of those things, the doctor came back, and the first question he asked me was, when was the last time you ate? And I said, well, I didn't eat, yesterday was the last time I ate. He said, oh, okay, I just wanted to know, he said, because you are in a state of ketosis. And when he said that, I just was all praises due to Allah for the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So just to bear witness to what you're saying, so it wasn't me saying it or Dr. Akili, this was the quote unquote professionals at the hospital, Tulane University, who bore witness to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I just wanted to bear witness to that.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you,
And me and Brother Lawrence didn't have that conversation before. I haven't talked to him.
Okay, yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. So I know my husband has a question over here.
Yes. So, Brother Dr. Akili, thank you very much. There's a question in the Facebook Live, and the sister asked, and you may have to help me because I'm not even sure what she means at the last part, but she asked the question, how long did it take you to break the food addiction and really get used to OMAD, O-M-A-D?
Yes, OMAD just means 1 meal a day. That's just
okay.
That's just the public. Yeah, that's the public way right now of not giving down Elijah Muhammad. And I don't mean the sister to ask the question. I don't mean to offend you, but what I'm saying is that a lot of people use that moniker OMAD because they know if they say 1 meal a day, at some point they're going to have to give credit to the man who offered that to the public.
Yes, sir.
My answer to you, my sister, would be that I'm still not over my food addiction. Because I believe that if I was over my food addiction, I would never slip up with How to Eat to Live. Brother Lawrence, in his great introduction of me is very accurate in that a lot of the things that I studied in college, in medical school, and a lot of the things that I've witnessed in my career, I know How to Eat to Live is unmatched and cannot be duplicated and cannot be outdone. And so if I know that from so many years of practice, so many years of study, so many years of research, why would I mess up? Why would I eat 2 meals in a day? Why would I ever, I'm attempting to practice 1 meal every other day now, but why would I ever eat 1 meal every day when I have moved on to 1 meal every day, every other day? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, when we make that step to 1 meal every other day, we shouldn't go backwards. With the knowledge that I have, I ask myself all the time, why do you mess up? Why do you eat things that you shouldn't eat? And it's because I haven't fixed some of those psychological problems in myself. I do not sit here and try to act like I am a master at this. I am climbing this uphill road just like everybody else that's striving. I pray that I'm being a good example because I am striving, but at the end of the day, I don't believe that I've overcome it. I think I have gotten much better because my habits, like I said, when I first started reading How to Eat to Live, I was eating 5 meals a day. I was a big potato chip eater. I never really, I wasn't raised as a big meat eater. At that time, I may have eaten meat once or twice a week, but I was very unhealthy in the type of foods. I ate a lot of snack foods. I ate a lot of nuts, a lot of chips, Cheez-Its, crackers, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I could literally on a Sunday, waking up at 10 in the morning, sitting in front of the television watching football all day. I could literally go through a family size of Lay's barbecue chips, a box of Cheez-Its, buffalo wings, and another bag of Doritos in that day. So my cholesterol was like 350. Crazy. I mean, literally. And I say that because as a physician, I know what my colleagues do. My colleagues are sick. My colleagues are taking medications. My colleagues are too lazy to do their own exercise program. And that's the reason why they don't have the fervor to teach their patients to do the things that they know they should be suggesting, but they know they're too lazy to do. At that point, I was eating bad, but I was also working out 3 or 4 times a week. You know what I mean? So today, I try to live what I preach, and that is how to eat to live. I try to be an example of that. And so I pray that little by little, every year, every Ramadan, I get a little better in my discipline and get a little more close to mastering how to eat to live, but I'm definitely not there yet. So I pray I answered your question, sister.
Yes, sir. I actually have a little bit more on that, and you raise a good point, Dr. Akili. One of the attacks in the commercialization of food diets is also food binging or food products, right? Like as it relates to the potato chips or the cereal or the sweets, right?
Yes.
There's though a purposed neurological attack in the food as well, not just in the reality of commercialization. And I've talked to some people they really don't believe that this attack is happening in the food. What do you say to that?
Well, people can say whatever they want to in ignorance. And I don't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. That just means you don't have the knowledge. If you had asked me that question in 2003 or 2004, before I read How to Eat to Live, I probably would have said, you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But now, after all the years that I've been researching the types of additives, preservatives, and other chemicals that are in processed foods, it's unequivocally the truth that they are attacking 2 main places. With my research, it's the brain and the reproductive organs.
Right.
And so if anybody on here has a bag of Doritos in the house, or a bag of Cheetos, or Cheez-Its, or Lay's barbecue potato chips, when you go to the ingredients and you start reading some of those ingredients that it's hard for you to pronounce, just put it in a search one day, put the word that you can't pronounce, and then put MSDS behind it. That's Material Safety Data Sheet. They changed the word a few years ago to Safety Data Sheet. So either way, if you put MSDS or SDS after a word that you can't pronounce, there'll be a document that will come up that will tell you the safety profile or otherwise of that certain chemical.
Beautiful.
And so I've done this research over the years, and the majority of the chemicals that are in potato chips, in ice creams, candies, gum, most of the processed foods that you see in convenience stores, they are either neurotoxic, meaning they're toxic to the brain or nerves, or they are potentially causers of infertility. And when we look at the power of the brain, all we have to do, well, now, let me not tell you what to do. What I do is I spend time watching nature, either in my backyard, because I always try to have some land where I can do some things, plant some things, and then watch animals. Or you can just go to a nature channel and watch how animals do things following nature. See, they don't have the ability to go outside their nature. We do. We have the ability to make decisions that go outside of our nature. So let me just give a couple of examples that maybe some of us have thought of and some of us have not. Here it is that we have a stomach that produces acid that is probably one or two strongest acids on the planet Earth. Some of us that may be sitting at a wooden table could literally, if we could open up your stomach without causing you any pain and drain your hydrochloric acid on your table, it would eat a hole in that wood. But yet we drink while we're eating and after we're eating. How can your acid help break down your food when you're drinking and diluting your acid?
Right.
Another thought process. I mentioned earlier about the vaccines. How can we come to a conclusion that some scientist in a laboratory is going to inject something in your arm that's going to give your immune system a better ability than what God gave you? That doesn't make sense. Why? Because you never see an animal go get a shot for anything unless they're being captivated by humans. If we go into nature, animals exist through all different types of infections, and they continue to eat the foods that are supposed to be put in their system, and they overcome it. Last example. How can we look at our families? Grandma died with high blood pressure. On my mama's side, she had high blood pressure, congestive heart failure, and some other stuff too. I don't even know what she had. My daddy's mama, same way. My grandfather had both of his legs cut off because he smoked all of his life. All of my aunties on that side of the family, all of my uncles on both sides have these same medical problems. And here I am, I'm about 30 or 40. I'm following along in the same type of activity, eat the same food, don't exercise, don't drink enough water, don't get enough rest, don't fast, don't think properly. And yet I go to a doctor and he's supposed to give me a pill to solve 40 years of madness, 50, 60 years of madness. See, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but when I put it in that perspective and we look at it like that and digest it that way, it doesn't even make sense that I'm gonna eat bad and do all these things that I knew I should have been doing, but I didn't do them. And doctor, can you give me something for this high blood pressure? Instead of me doing the things that solve the problem. Like a dog and a cat I had when I was young. I never see dogs or cats eat grass. I never saw them until they got sick. They wouldn't eat their food. You wouldn't see them eating whatever they normally eat, going catching little, whatever they catch. You see them eat grass for a couple of days. They lay around like they're really tired. A couple of days later, back to normal. That's a nature reality of fasting. Those animals fasted and got back to normal. You see what I'm saying? So I think at the end of the day, the reality is that if we say we believe in God, then we have to use that lens to check everything that we're doing. So what would be the correct way to do the things that we do? How do we evaluate whether it's coming from God or whether it's something different? You see what I mean? Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It makes a lot of sense. In addition, thank you, Brother Dr. Keeley. This show is on fire, right? I can sing that song. This girl on fire, this show on fire. Okay. Praise be to Allah. Dr. Keeley, as you were speaking, and I mean, you just dropped so many profound things, and I'm thinking about, how this relates to, well, just let me go back to this point, the emotional eating and how we have these addictions. And we do what we do to master these addictions. But there's a root cause. Yes. And the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to get to the root of the matter. That's right. And I have found through the technology of Dianetics on how to get to that root cause, because that emotional eating may not be you.
That's right.
It may not be your addiction. It could be something that your mother went through or your grandmother went through. So when we're talking about discipline, we're learning how to discipline the mind, we're learning how to discipline the body, right? But now we have access to get to the root cause of it and totally eradicate it. And that's where I see how this technology, this science, Dianetics, can help aid us in getting to the root cause and literally not just has it as a discipline, but eradicate it. So when we go or we get triggered back into these emotional situations or something happened in our life, we beat ourselves up because we've mastered how to eat to live that one meal a day or that one meal every other day. But life kicks in, something happens, and then we cave in and think we failed in the process when we really didn't fall in the process. We just haven't really discovered the root cause. Does that make sense? And I've learned in the technology on how we have three minds, literally. We have the analytical mind, which is our God mind. That mind is made to think right, period, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. Then we have the reactive mind. This is a stimulus response. Something happens, we're going to do it. But then we got the somatic mind. The somatic mind is the stomach, it's the gut. Yes. The gut has its own mind, right? So now we're battling three different minds. Well, we're battling too, because the analytical mind is made to think right. So when we have better understanding, now we can really, in my viewpoint, in my experience of learning how to go into mastery, self-mastery, when we have the understanding of these different minds, now we have more access to go to the root cause of what triggers us to go back into these different states of existence. You see? And that's how to eat to me. That's how to eat to live, because now I know what my mind is calling for. I know what my somatic mind, that gut, is calling for. It's two different minds. We got to understand which of these minds are in effect right now, right? So that's one aspect. I just wanted to just put that there as we're looking at this collaboration on clear mind, clear body, or clear body, clear mind. Absolutely. We're going into self-mastery as a God.
Can I comment on that really quickly?
Yes, go ahead.
Man, what you just brought up to me is the reality of Study Guide 18, rising above emotions into the thinking of God, right?
You better go ahead.
Now, I'm just going to tell you all, I was one of the top students in my neuroanatomy class, which we studied the brain. The minister taught me more in rising above emotions into the thinking of God about how the brain works than all the years I studied in medical school. I'm not talking about the little fine aspects that I learned, but I'm talking about the interworkings of it. And what you just finished posing, Sister Naira, is this. The minister stated, and I'm paraphrasing, in the study guide, that you can have a person that will make a decision out of emotion that defies everything that they believe out of an emotion. You see a mild-mannered person come home, catches his wife with somebody else, or vice versa, a mild-mannered sister catches her husband with somebody else and just kills everybody. And nobody believes that that person had the ability to act in that way. She's been so mild-mannered, he's been so mild-mannered all their life. It was that emotion that took this person to another place. And it's the same reality with what you just finished posing. If my emotion is tied to eating because of what my father or my mother did at the dinner table when I was a little boy, and I've never made the connection, and I'm doing all this activity, my emotion is what's triggering that. And that emotional mind can be more powerful than your analytical mind because of the emotion. Not that it has more power. The analytical mind is the most powerful. But our subconscious mind, that engrammic mind or that somatic mind, has more power because we haven't been taught how to discipline it. How to eat to live is that.
That's right.
And think about this, brothers and sisters. If you're not in the Nation of Islam, I would suggest you go to store.finalcall.com and purchase the study guides of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm not telling you you have to join the Nation of Islam. I'm saying that these books are so profound in the way that the minister is trying to help us overcome our difficulties. But in Building the Will 1, 2, and 3, the minister mentions how to eat to live and disciplining ourselves in our diet in 3 out of the 4 Building the Will. So that's how powerful getting control of your diet is. Getting control of your diet puts you back in control to some degree. It's not over. Sister Nair just talked about the technology. They have a technology that helps us get in control. I have personally experienced thinking things in my life, emotionally thinking things that make me lose control. But in that Dianetic session, in that auditing session, I realized that it was something totally different. It wasn't even what I thought. And that person that I thought so negatively of wasn't really the cause of the problem. Most of it is us. But if we don't realize what was done to us in slavery, generation after generation after generation after generation, we might think, oh, we can just do this. No, this is a difficult process. There's nothing easy about what we're talking about today, brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
So there's none of us that should be harsh on ourselves.
Absolutely.
Unless you're just totally not trying. You shouldn't be harsh on yourself that way either, because it's something that made you do that. But my point is that every day, regardless of the religion that you practice, in Islam, we say this before our prayers: in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the merciful. The beneficent, that word means kind gifts. Mercy means that you get a benefit that you didn't deserve. All of us need to be a little more kind, a little more gentle, have a little bit of mercy, and be a little more gifting to ourselves. Why? Because we are coming out of a mind and a reality that our enemies said that they had us so close to being beasts, and that there was no light that would come into our reality.
Yes.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and let me go back, let me say Master Father Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Minister Louis Farrakhan represent so much, but they also represent a journey.
Yes.
And so when you look at yourself and you look at your journey, you don't look at the minister and compare yourself to him now. That's not how you do it and stay comfortable within yourself. You have to look at the minister and say, that's my goal. But let me go back and assess myself to see where I am on that path.
Yeah.
On that road, if I stay on it.
Yeah.
And he has told us, right? Ever since Muhammad Ali's death, the minister has told us over and over and over and over again. I pray that we're listening.
Yes.
Stay in the class.
Yes.
Muhammad Ali aborted the class.
Yes.
Malcolm X aborted the class.
Yes.
Khalid Muhammad aborted the class.
Yes.
And he said, who wants to see an aborted baby except a abortionist? But immediately upon abortion, there's the deterioration aspect.
Right.
So when you start pulling away from self-improvement, you start to deteriorate. And my personal viewpoint is that Brother Akili believes that the basis for self-improvement is the basis for community development.
Absolutely.
But when I use the word self-improvement, I'm including that which I learned at the Church of Scientology.
Absolutely. And Brother Keeley, thank you. Wow. Thank you. You know, as you were speaking, I was thinking this scripture popped into my mind, which is universal for everybody. All thine getting, get understanding.
That's right.
That's right.
And that's the goal. Get understanding of what? Thy own self.
That's right.
And that's where I see the study guides. It helps you to get an understanding of thy own self.
That's right.
Right? This technology helps us to unlock those things that we don't understand about thine own self. So you have sciences coming together that is universal. Anybody can have it. It doesn't matter about religion. It doesn't matter about color. None of that creed, class. And I'm talking about even with the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Absolutely. I'm talking about the technology of L. Ron Hubbard. It doesn't matter. What matters is the principles of truth. Once the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, wherever truth is, that's where you belong, because it's your birthright. So we are going up into the stages of Godhood. And that's where I see this collaboration, and what we're doing tonight is so supreme when it comes to saving lives. So I just wanted to thank you again. We do have some people here. Oh, wait, I want to answer this one question that's in the chat on topic, but not on the streamline. What is the best protein sources when you are a vegetarian in session? Okay, that's in therapy. I'm going to definitely say the navy bean. Okay, make you some navy bean smoothies, Eat you some navy beans before you go in session. The navy bean. There's other things that you can do, but I definitely want to say, Brother Damian X Johnson, you can definitely use navy beans, and you can fix that up many type of ways when you go into therapy. Okay, so
I would agree 100%, and I will also say that when you go in session in the Church of Scientology, and we're told when we go there, we're taught when we go there to make sure you get your B1. That's in navy beans in a very high amount. So
absolutely.
The teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and How to Eat to Live is what I use when I go do my auditing at the Church of Scientology.
Beautiful. You got that, Brother Damien? Okay. Okay, so Sister Brenda, she has a question. And family, we're here. Share the video. Invite some people on. Let's get this word out far and wide. Thank you. Sister Brenda.
Assalamu alaikum and Ramadan Mubarak.
Wa
alaikum salam. Ramadan Kareem.
This has been fantastic. I got a totally different outlook on our diets. It's something about those potato chips, though. I went as far, and I must confess, I went as far as to find potato chips, non-GMO, fried in avocado oil, which is really just as much as a detriment, because if I think I'm eating healthy, by eating them, I'm going to eat more. But I want to throw that out there.
Yes.
As a confession. But Dr. Akili, ketones and ketone acidosis, is there a difference? Because my sister had ketone acidosis, I think it was, as a diabetic, which wasn't very good for her. So is there a difference?
Absolutely. That is actually a wonderful question. So the ketone that I described earlier that is made by the liver as a sugar, when we don't, well, I don't know if I talked about ketones, but let me say this. Every day, our brain and our muscles use sugar, glucose, as the fuel source. That is the main fuel source of the brain and the muscles. When we are going long periods of time in between eating and we don't have any glucose because the glucose stores were used, the liver begins making ketones, which is a sugar that replaces glucose. But as I said earlier, that is only produced when there are long periods of time in between eating. Now, that's a healthy state for those of us that don't have diabetes. When we make ketones, a ketone is acidic, and it will cause an acidity, a relative, it doesn't cause acidity, but it's a relative acidity in the body because it's an acidic molecule. In the opposite perspective, when a person is a diabetic, their sugar is in their body. Their sugar is in the bloodstream running around, and it can't be released into the tissues. So like when we go home, we stick a key in the door to open the door, whereas somebody that doesn't have a key hits the lock. Okay, not my house, go somewhere else. In the human body, that's what's happening. If a person doesn't have insulin, you can't open the door and put the sugar in the cells, in the tissues where it needs to be. So now you have a lot of sugar running around in the body, not being put where it needs to be. And the body kicks into ketosis, starts making ketones because it is in starvation mode, not healing mode. So it's completely confused. And those ketones, as well as all that sugar, is causing a severe acidosis in the body. So when we make ketones, it's a relative acidosis, meaning that the body is making more acid, but it stays in balance. But when a person is a diabetic and you have all this sugar running around, all these byproducts that are not being handled correctly, and then the body starts making ketones, you literally become acidotic. So when we test your pH, you would be in acidosis, which means that you're ready to die, right? Because the body lives at 7.4. And so all this talk out here that you need to be alkalinic and let your body be alkalinic, that's garbage information, brothers and sisters. The body lives in neutral phase. 7.4 is neutral. It's not acidotic. It's not alkalinic. That's where we live. I was the person when I was in residency program that would do the sticks in people, the arterial sticks to test people's pH. If you're at 7.3, you damn near dead. 7.5, you damn near dead. So there's no such thing as living outside of neutral. And that's what's happening in a diabetic. They're going acidic, and life and acidity doesn't equate with each other. So I pray I answered your question.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you. Thank
Praise
you.
be to Allah.
Wow.
Yes, ma'am.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you. That was a very good question.
Absolutely.
Sister Patricia, we have Sister Patricia.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Ramadan Mubarak. I was going to ask this question, but now he just talked about diabetes. I don't know. I wanted to ask the question, is it okay to just strictly, just juice everything? Don't even eat solid food, just liquefy everything, into a blender without, just even say for 5, 4, 6 months. Is that considered abnormal to do? And I forgot the other question I was going to ask, but I'll just ask that question for now.
Okay, yes, ma'am. I think theoretically that sounds like it would make sense, because what are you doing? You're taking away the work that the stomach has to do, and you're introducing nutrients to the body. It sounds like that would be a very good thing and a beneficial thing to do to the body. But understand that the supreme doctor taught the next supreme doctor that we shouldn't do a lot of juicing. The only time I suggest juicing to anybody that trusts me is when you are in such a poor nutritional state that you need juicing just to be able to get to where we need to get to. But let's put things in context and understand that Allah made these bodies perfect. And when we treat them perfectly, they will respond perfectly. We were given teeth for a reason. There is a process that happens when you put a piece of food in your mouth and chew it that can't happen in a blender, that can't happen in a juicer. They're parotid glands, submandibular glands, submaxillary glands that produce our saliva. And that saliva is not made when you put the food in your mouth. The saliva begins to be made when you smell what you're about to eat. And it happens quickly. So when you put something, smell it, put it in your mouth, now your saliva is made for that food. The digestion process begins with the smell, and then with the chewing, the process starts. So the food has to be prepared for the stomach. And then the stomach has to do its job, and then the intestines have to absorb it. And that's how we get the nutritional needs to serve the body. So no, putting something in a blender and putting something in some machine is not going to serve the same purpose as chewing. When we chew our food well, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says in book 2, that you should chew your food well so it just slides down your throat, not like some of us that hit it a few times and looks like we're swallowing something and our neck goes out this big, right? When we chew our food correctly, that really makes the digestion process easy. And it makes that food bioavailable for us that no other way. I don't care what they say about some laboratory that can take turmeric and make it 45% more bioavailable to your body. Don't believe that madness. Believe that Allah gave you teeth for a reason. And you should take your time and chew that food. And, sometimes when people come to me, I tell them count 50 to 100 times. I would suggest that some of you try that and see how long you have to chew past what you normally chew when you have to chew 50 or 100 times when you put some food in your mouth. But if we were to do things correctly, do things like the body is made for it to do, there would be no such thing as disease. And let me finish that point with this. Can you all imagine? I'm talking to the members of the Nation of Islam now. Can you imagine what it would be like if we followed that book to the best of our ability? And people in the community, no matter what color, creed, nationality, language they speak, as Sister Mary said, they would say things like, man, them people in the Nation of Islam don't get sick. Them people in the Nation of Islam come with diabetes and don't have it long. They come in the nation with high blood pressure, but they don't keep it. Man, do you know that them people in the Nation of Islam have just been following their dietary law, and we haven't heard of any of them coming into the hospital? We got some Mohammeds in the hospital, but they spell M-O. You don't see no M-U's Mohammed up in here in these hospitals sick. So I just thought I'd end with that little bit of levity.
Yes, sir. And I can bear witness to that. When I first got in the Nation, and I was a person who always been over than I should have been in my weight. And I tried all they had candy called A's, Dr. Dick Gregory diet, all the Slim Fast. And when I got the How to Eat to Live book, because that was the first book that I had took out of the final call, because I always had problems with my weight. And I dropped my weight so fast between walking too. I walked also.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're right. I never was sick. I mean, it was like 8 or 9, 10 years. I wouldn't even have a cold.
That's right.
And when I started, as they used to say in the church, backslid, and got away from, being disciplined, the weight jumped on me so fast. And it's in the supreme wisdom, arthritis and all that. It's what exactly in black and white.
Absolutely.
So I can bear witness to that book. And that's why I'm glad that I chose the time I did, because I'm going to get back, even following you, I'm, to get back into How to Eat to Live, because I know what it did to me. I seen it. I got pictures I can show you.
Yes, ma'am. I haven't been sick since 2004. That was the last time I caught. I was in my office one day. A lady came in. When I touched her, she felt like she just came out of the microwave. So she was sick, had an extreme fever. And when I went to listen to her chest, she sneezed in my face. And I started getting a fever that night. I was sick for the next few days. And that was 2004. That was the last time I was sick. That was also the same year that I started working on practicing How to Eat to Live.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Wonderful question.
Brother Dr. Keeley, there's a question for you in the chat.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Mubarak, everyone. Dr. Keeley, when eating one meal every other day and wanting to continue Dianetics processing on a more intense scale, what is your suggestion other than only processing on eat days?
Whoever asked that question, I think it's a good question. And I believe in what the Quran says. I'm forgetting the exact word, but it basically says practicality, right? We have to be reasonable in our practice of what it is that we believe. The minister sent us to this technology. And when we go to that technology, it deserves to be respected. When I went to the Church of Scientology, I'm just that type of person where I like experimenting. I believe in How to Eat to Live so much that I did auditing a couple of times without eating. I was fasting and it didn't end up well. So after that first experimentation, I submitted. So if I go to the Church of Scientology, I don't eat 1 meal every other day. I eat so that I can be on whatever program that I'm on. And that's the way that I would answer that question, because there's a sacrifice in everything that we do. And the process that I've seen and the benefits that I've gotten in my auditing in the Church of Scientology, I know, as I said earlier, that they came from Allah. And so I submit myself to what they prescribe when I go to do their technology.
Absolutely. And may I say something to that? As
Absolutely.
A trained auditor, as a highly trained auditor beyond Dianetics therapist, okay? Supreme wisdom is a technology. It's work. It works when applied. How to Eat to Live is a technology. It works as it is applied according to how we were given it. Same with this technology. When you get into that higher, just auditing period, you're going to get the optimum results when you do the optimum things. It's an applied science. If we deviate from How to Eat to Live, we're not going to get the results that the messenger gives us, because we wanted to do it the way we think that we should do it, not the way the messenger told us to do it, because he got it from God in person. This technology If we do it as Mr. Hubbard give it to us, you are going to get the results. I'm saying that as a living witness, and I'm saying that as a trained auditor. I thank you, Brother Dr. Keeley, to say I submitted to the process because I wanted the best results. It's the same when we're introducing how to eat to live. We want the people to get the best results. So we encourage them on a gradient scale. Do it as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad say. And this is how I see you. We will obtain clear body, clear mind by applying it the way both technologies was given. It's a science. And when you're getting into those mental pictures,
Yes.
you're going to need the energy.
That's right.
To confront your mental pictures. The mind is made up of pictures, which is energy. If you don't have the energy, you cannot confront and eradicate those negative pictures that's in the mind that's keeping us out of sync with God, which is that analytical mind. So I just answered that from a trained perspective. And I think that's good for the whole body. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So,
and if I may just add this, again, I'm not trying to make myself out to be anything superior to any of my brothers and sisters on here, but the Quranic verse that I was talking about was Surah 22, verse 37.
Praise be to Allah. There's a question. Thank you, Brother Dr. Keita. There's a question on Facebook. How do you get all the nutrients you need in that one meal a day?
That's an excellent question. I would say it takes practice, it takes understanding, it takes learning. But I don't think that any of us should try to beat ourselves to such a confined reality. So let me put it in perspective for you. In book 2, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and I'll tell you all the page in a minute, in book 2, he says, the less you eat, the longer you live. And unfortunately, we in American society have this overindulgence, get all you can. And that is not coexistent with long health. If you eat one meal a day, here it is, the less you eat, the longer you live. Book 2, page 176. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad tells us that if you eat one meal a day and you fast 2 or 3 days a month, at the end of that year, you will not have enough sickness in your body to make you sick more than 1 hour. That's a beautiful place to be. But he didn't stay there. He said, if you eat one meal every 48 hours, you'll be sick every 4 to 5 years. He said, if you eat one meal every 3 days, you'll never be sick. What he is telling us is that if you eat quality foods, the less you eat, the more the body has the ability to use it, the longer you will live and the less you'll be sick. So we have to get away from thinking that we have to overindulge and eat so much of this and so much of that. Brothers and sisters, I have researched for the last 18 years the foods that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad lists in How to Eat to Live. I'm not going to tell you those. You have to go do that research for yourself. Open your book 1 and 2 and make yourself a list of all the foods that he mentions we should eat. And then if you all are interested, I will post a letter that he sent that listed a few other foods. In all honesty, the foods that are in the book and on that sheet are the majority of my diet. I don't concern myself with what is in every specific meal, but I do have an array of the different colors, an array of the different foods on a regular basis that I know I'm getting everything that I need. And I also know that because I've done enough studying of what certain foods have as its nutritional value. But rather than you having to do all of that research, I'm just telling you from my confidence perspective that if you get the book, you make your notes, and you make it a point to put that bean soup in your body every day or as often as you can. And if you eat every other day or every 3 days, you should put that bean soup in every time you eat. That good whole milk, that good wheat bread, organic fruits and vegetables, and then you use honey most of the time as your sweetener, raw, good honey, you won't miss anything. You'll have everything that you need, and your body will prove it to you in the way that it will begin to function. So I pray I answered that question.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Keeley, before we go, because we have a lot of questions here. And
sounds like a part 2, huh?
Right, because I know we got to break fast. So
yes.
I just want you to, and I want to answer a couple more questions, then we're out of here. Can you please give the people your information? How do we contact you? What's your social media handles? What is the best way to get in communication with Dr. Keeley?
Yes, ma'am. So the best way to get in touch with me, you can go one place and get all the information. That's the ultimatewellnessgroup.com. That's my website. The ultimatewellnessgroup.com. The telephone number is 832-429-4576. Again, 832-429-4576. The THEE Ultimate Wellness Group on Facebook. The Ultimate Wellness Group on YouTube and IG. And brothers and sisters, I am going to start using a Black-owned, Black streaming site. So stay tuned, and I pray that we all support, and I pray that we all eventually start to use this so that we can support it and grow it. So that's how you can find me.
Okay, so we got that. Thank you, Dr. Keeley. So right now, everybody should actually go and like the page, the Ultimate Wellness Group on Facebook, and share this video. So as we ask just a couple more questions, and I don't know what just happened. Okay, a couple more questions, and then we're going to go ahead and leave. Okay, so question from Facebook, and if we have anybody in the academy that wants to ask a question, please let me know. How do you heal your body from gout?
Following How to Eat to Live. And if that doesn't work for you, reach out to me personally. I don't want to answer any specific questions that could get me in trouble. You guys have to understand that when I come on and I speak in places like this, for those who don't know, we have some real enemies, and they watch what I say and they want to attack me on the things that I say. And so I have to be very careful in that they can't take the words that I say and say that I'm practicing medicine and treating people and diagnosing people through these venues. So reach out if you want specific information, but my best suggestion would say, get the book, apply the book the best you can, pay attention to the fact that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that we were made vegetarians, and just understand that I've never seen a vegetarian with gout.
Great. And so there's a lot of medical questions. So I think you gave the best answer, that people should get in contact with you. And that way we just keep it in alignment. Yeah. All right. So that's all that I have to say. I know that we want to do Sister Maria has a question, and then we're going to close it out with my husband, Brother Lawrence, and myself, and Brother Dr. Keeley. We would love for you to give the closing remarks.
Assalamu alaikum.
Sister.
I don't really have a question. I just want to bear witness to a couple of things that has helped me, that Dr. Keeley put in a program for me. It said you mentioned you mentioned a few times about me needing motivation and someone to help me assist staying dedicated to my program. In the program, he mentioned that I should read Build the Will and the study guides, and different study guides. He also recommended that me reading How to Eat to Live every day and getting an accountability partner. Well, Dr. Keeley, I got in touch with my accountability partner. Her name is Nair Muhammad. And I'm doing great on my program, as well as in so many other ways. But I'm just bear witness to How to Eat to Live and me putting it in my life every day.
Thank you, sister, for being a supporter of mine, and thank you for that testimony. Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. All right. So, family, we're going to get ready to wrap this up. Yes, sir.
No, there was a question that was in the chat, I think you made.
Oh, yes, sir. Please go ahead.
From Brother James. He asked the question he asked the question during our 72-hour fast, our 3-day fast, does putting sea moss, turmeric, and ginger in your tea break your fast?
Well, I don't. Let me say that there's nothing in How to Eat to Live about those things, so I can't speak on that from a perspective of what How to Eat to Live would demand. But personally, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad does mention in How to Eat to Live that we don't want to do anything to activate the digestive system. And my understanding of how turmeric works and how sea moss works, which is very similar to doing sea salt, there is no digestive process. That's an absorption process. And so I don't believe that that would interfere with the process of the fast, from my knowledge. Let me say that. And I would also say that occasionally when I do extended fasts and I get weak or I have a very tough day, that's what I do sometimes. I'll take a spoon of honey with a little turmeric in it and I'll eat that just to sometimes get over that real tired feeling, because sometimes I can overdo it. And I don't consider that breaking my fast. So, if somebody has other information that is better to answer that question, I would love to hear it. But that's my answer.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I will say this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad did okay coffee drinking during fast, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan added in one of his lectures that we can drink tea. So I know those things are not against our fasting principles.
Yes, sir. Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. Thank you so very much.
Yes.
And so, all right. So I'm going to ask you to close out, Brother Dr. Keeley. Brother Lawrence, my husband, which one of y'all?
Well, I just want to say I've certainly enjoyed tonight. Thank you, Dr. Keeley, for coming on and sharing your master wisdom with us. I just thought I'd make you smile, brother. But too, and this is for the audience, thank you for coming and participating. Know that, in order to be a champion, you have to practice champion type practices, right? Which means that you have to implement a discipline, right? So
absolutely.
Just know that discipline comes along with any practice, any technology, anything that you are attempting to do and conquer whatever it is that you're attempting to do, that it does take a discipline. But thank you, Brother Dr. Keeley, and I appreciate you. And yes, it does sound like a part 2.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I don't want to leave without this question being answered, and then we're going to come to you, Brother Lawrence. So Sister Mani says, so I just want clarity. Does that mean we can drink coffee and tea during daylight hours?
Oh, no. I didn't mean during Ramadan now. No, I'm not. I was answering that question because the brother asked about a 3-day fast. So I wasn't answering that from the perspective of a Ramadan fast. Mm-hmm. That's a separate entity. So let me be very clear.
Yeah.
I was answering that question for the times that we are not in Ramadan and we're doing our 3-day unity fast at the beginning of each month. We are allowed to drink coffee and tea on those fasting days. During Ramadan, we do nothing from any type of liquid, food, sexual activity, the peaceful nature that's from the morning prayer, which is before sunrise, until sundown when we break fast for Maghrib. I pray that I clarified that.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. So, Brother Lawrence.
I just want to say I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait for part 2. This is the type of talk that I like, and so yeah, I don't have anything really lengthy to say, but just thank you for the information and continue to do what you do. And I'm going to strive to implement How to Eat to Live much better in my life, because I found when I'm on How to Eat to Live, man, life is beautiful.
Yes, sir.
But when I go astray from How to Eat to Live, my body lets me know immediately. And so that just bears witness once again to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I can't wait for part 2.
Praise be to Allah.
Oh, Dr. Achille,
Yes.
those bean chips. Those, you talked about the chips, man. How those bean chips are? Are we good on the bean chips?
Hey,
I'm gonna put you on the spot, brother. You don't
not-
have to answer that.
I'm not gonna say anything public about those bean chips, but take a picture of the ingredients and send them to me, and I'll tell you which ones I like and don't.
Praise to Allah. Sorry, Dr. Akili, as we wrap this up, I just want to say thank you. You know, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan sent us to get the technology and we became auditors, he said, you are spiritual physicians.
Yes.
And I'm just happy as a spiritual physician that we got to connect with a physician like you so that we can help bring in the hereafter, which is now. The scripture says that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yes.
And so we're striving to have alignment and helping the spirit and the flesh to be in alignment. So with you being on the show today, it helped us to get closer to the goal. So thank you for being in the Academy today. And we're looking forward to part 2. Okay. So when I call you, Brother Dr. Keith.
Yes, ma'am.
Praise be to Allah.
It won't be next Tuesday, but let's set it up. Let's set it up. Yeah, next week is my wife's birth anniversary.
Oh, praise be to Allah.
Wednesday.
Yes,
so
sir.
I'll be preparing for her next week, so I won't have a show next week. But I just want to say that I appreciate you, Sister Naira, you, Brother David, and you, Brother Lawrence, for the things that you do. I know I learn immensely from listening to you all, and I know that we admire each other. We all have good relationships with each other. For those that don't know that we do have a relationship outside of our social media things, but I do admire you all. I think we all have our place. And this is a beautiful way for us to bring and merge our passions and our gifts so that, inshallah, everybody that's listening is inspired to be able to say, you know, I have my gift and my talent too, and I know I could add to that pot. And we start to build that hereafter, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take the unity. And that's why I used that word earlier when I mentioned what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says. I can't say that what he said because he doesn't use the word unity in there. But my experience in the Nation of Islam, now being registered for 11 years, is the more unity in any situation that I've been in, the more success, the more peace that we have. And so I'm sure there was an aspect of unity to what he was talking about. And so I just wanted to say that before I make my closing remarks, because I thoroughly enjoyed it. And making myself available to speak about how to eat to live and how that can help us move all of our aspects of our life into a better place is something that I enjoy doing. And I just want to close with this. Brothers and sisters, I got some news, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, about somebody that was using my name to sell products or promote whatever they're promoting. And I just want to read a statement that my wife helped me produce. And then I just want to make a real small closing remark. Right, here's the statement. All the information provided through the Ultimate Wellness Group is based upon years of training, research, study, and experience. As a trained medical professional, Dr. Keeley has the ability to review information in a responsible manner. Using information from appointments, videos, interviews, and published articles to provide guidance to anyone is strictly prohibited. Client programs are designed for the individual and should not be shared, disseminated, or used to provide guidance. And I pray that anybody that hears me saying this understands why I'm saying that, because this is the way that I take care of my family. But this is also the way that I can be attacked by our enemy. Because they are looking to do something to me. They are looking to try to get me off of these airways. You all don't see some of the behind the scene things that happen. And I'm not complaining about that. With responsibility comes the ability to have to deal with those things.
That's right.
But I don't want anybody to think that they can use what I say and use my name and then get me in trouble and cause problems with my family. That's not fair to me. Yes, and I won't take to that kindly. I'm not trying to threaten anybody. I'm just saying that's not going to bring the Muslim side out of me. And so just be respectful of when you hear me speaking, just understand that I am giving and putting on a platter in the best way I know, in the easiest way to understand, years and years and years. So if I make it look easy, praise be to Allah. But it's a lot that goes behind my thinking, my preparation, and the way that I try to make it so that we can understand it, use it, and make ourselves better. So please respect it, and please think about me before you go out and try to use my name to make money, or just to take what I say and go try to think that you can use that to help somebody. You know, it'd be probably best to reach out to me and either let me do that, or if you are going to use my name to make money, at least ask me first. The answer might be no, but at least ask me first.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
You sound like my business coach. Treat your business like a business. Okay. Thank you, brother Dr. Keeley. Thank you to the listening audience. Thank you for the students that came into the academy tonight. Listen, it's the Repair of the Black Family in collaboration with the Ultimate Wellness Group. Our aim, our mission, our goal is to bring us closer to the God himself. The hereafter for his followers is now. The kingdom of God is here now. So we thank you all so much. We love you. Assalamu alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak. Peace. Snap, 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 snap.
All right, family.
Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem. Peace.
Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem. Walaikum salam.
Y'all share the video.
Ramadan Kareem, another wonderful production.
Praise be to Allah.
Praise be to Allah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, brother Ahmad.
Repair